yeah, we should probably get into the tweets now. So how do I phrase this? I know what I think of Linwood's tweets, and I know what I think of Linwood's frame of mind, and I don't poke fun, and I don't retweet what people say. I genuinely think there might be something. It can only be one of two things. It can be a genuine, some form of a breakdown, genuine, some form of issues. It could be, well, I guess there's multiple scenarios. It could just be, go out there and say the things that everyone wants you to say for any one of a number of reasons. If you're going to get to the SCOTUS, I don't know. Can you get Roberts? Can you be so outrageous as relates to Roberts in his tweets that he can then ask Roberts to step down from any future case? I mean, I've heard people float that idea. I think it's incredibly unlikely. You can't disqualify a judge by your own conduct. Could that be one of the theories? And how is he not getting kicked off Twitter?
I thought you were going to confess that the reason why you shaved your beard is you found out that Linwood was the second coming of Jesus and he was coming for you. No, so you're trying to hide out and say, I don't know that other Viva guy that was ever critical of you.
I shaved my beard.
That Linsanity photo meme. I don't know who that guy is.
No, I shaved my beard because one night I just have an urge to do it, and I do it. I get the fresh air and it feels so great. And then I wake up and look in the mirror and I see, look at this. I got jowls now. These are anger jowls. Look, I'm growing the beard back. It's going back slowly. I just got to exfoliate once in a while. But no, that's not why I shaved my beard.
Of course.
But Robert, how does he not get off Twitter?
Oh yeah, I mean, no question that he has kind of lost his mind, and the reason why I had been talking about it now for almost a year is because I could see this was coming, and it was coming out of the QAnon world, and that's where it's sourced, and now he's just. To understand Wood's mindset, if QAnon was a brilliant psyop, is my opinion currently. I believe it was a combat because they used role-playing adult fantasy games combined with cult techniques, combined with high-pressure sales techniques. It was very unique. If you compare the Q posting to other forms of anonymous message board posting, it's very different in its style and its approach and its techniques that it applies. And QAnon just sort of went sort of wild with it. But if you are in that world and you're in that fantasy world that you think it's a real world, you think that you're helping because you think that the military is secretly on Trump's side, that the CIA and Secretary of State Pompeo are secretly on Trump's side, that Assange is not in an English prison, but he's actually secretly coordinating with Trump, that there's 200,000 sealed indictments. You think at the funeral presentation for Poppy Bush that the cards that Jeb Bush and everybody got were the secret messages that they were going to be taken out. And people should look that up. There's a guy that has that does fitness views that did one video about this. And it's his most watched video ever, like 2.2 million views with people saying, oh, yeah, these were the secret messages they got at Poppy Bush's funeral. So, they believe things that are just not sane to believe, frankly, or they're not backed up by independent evidence. But they really believe it. And once you're deep into believing it, you think you're just helping push out the key message to get the president to take action, to get the military to take action, to get the CIA, to help the white hats finally win over the black hats and send everybody off to Gitmo. And that's why he was sitting there, tweeting about how the governor in Georgia is hiding out because the military tribunal's coming for him. And then, of course, it accelerated to Pence. And the reason for this is some of the Q lies were that Pence was going to do something on December 23rd. And when he didn't, they had to come up with an explanation. And so it has to be he's now a traitor. And so he's going to face a firing squad.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, without using the words, because it's not terminal. I wouldn't even retweet it. And, people have been doing the breakdowns. Do these qualify as threats? He's
not. Yeah. Linwood may be crazy, but he ain't yet a crook or the thing is a criminal.
There's people throw around the word dog whistle a lot, and they throw around the word dog whistle when you don't even use language within the same ballpark. I don't consider these things to be. I mean, they would not legally pass as threats.
It's called true threats jurisdiction, and the reason why it's called true threats is because people say all kinds of things that have to be protected under the First Amendment, or otherwise the First Amendment is toothless if you interpret any kind of comment or criticism as a threat. So it has to be what's called true threats. And to give people examples of things they said were not true threats, the Klan organizing in Ohio, Brandenburg v. Ohio, where they said they wanted to go and burn and kill a bunch of black people right down the street, they said was not a true threat because it didn't have imminent risk of imminent violence. So there has to be it has to be very specific that you're going to commit a certain act of violence and that risk is imminent, and that it can actually happen. So, for example, a guy at an anti-war rally in the late 1960s had a gun with him, said, through this sniper, I'm going to look at LBJ next. There's a specific criminal crime statute that criminalizes threats against the president. U.S. Supreme Court said that does not constitute a true threat. That's protected under the First Amendment. So we have a broad scope of what's protected under the First Amendment. This is being lit. This may be going up to the U.S. Supreme Court in an Alex Jones case because they said him being critical of a lawyer was somehow a true threat in Connecticut, such they could throw out all his remedies. It's nonsense, in my opinion. So what he has been saying is not a true threat, because he's not saying anything that has an imminent risk of him committing imminent acts of actual violence against specified people. He's predicting what he thinks will happen because he's living in Q world. But what it is I've been saying this was a problematic path that was being used to discredit the Trump election challenges, being used to damage by association Trump personally, being used to keep the senators from being like people said, well, why not be in favor of it? Because anything that helps. This doesn't help. This hurts because right now his key audience is the Senate, and it doesn't help if he's associated with that Lin Wood is saying, that crazy things about Roberts. Roberts was not on the Epstein plane, folks. That just was always false. I'm not a fan of Roberts either, but he wasn't on the Epstein plane. The Epstein ain't alive. He didn't. Eternal truth. He didn't kill himself, but he is dead.
So hold on just 1 second, though. I've heard people talk about this, and I've heard them when we started talking about the Supreme Court not hearing cases, and everyone's saying that's the reason why. Is the alternative explanation that it was another Roberts because it's a pretty common name that was on the flight logs?
Well, it can't be that one because the day that A. John Roberts was listed as being on the flight log, Justice Roberts was holding hearings in the Supreme Court. So this was the other, he unfortunately got the president to tweet this out. He said that Ratzenberger's brother worked for China, and he gave a name. Well, Ratzenberger doesn't have a brother with that name, and nor does he have any brother that actually worked for China. It's like you don't even need to go there. But this is the kind of deliberately. This is how disinformation campaigns work, and they targeted smart, sophisticated people, folks. So a good disinformation campaign will get very smart people on their side. That's why they're called disinformation and psyop campaigns. They work, and they worked on Wood to the nth degree. And he's currently facing confusion because what he thought was going to happen is not happening, because he had bought in so deeply to Q world, and which preyed on his messianic desire of significance. In my view, that's pure speculation, but he gives off vibes like that. And again, he was expecting the president to have John Roberts sent off to military tribunal for Epstein connections, and he was going to be Chief Justice. I mean, this is what there's a reason why all of his partners left and then sued him. They weren't eager to do so. No young lawyer wants to get into a suit with someone like Wood, who has a much bigger reputation than any of them did. And these are the people, by the way, who did all the real work for Nick Sandmann. That's why Nick Sandmann came out and was critical finally of Wood, because he was like, I don't want to keep being associated with you when you're saying insane things that hurt the president's cause. And then he gets attacked. Can you imagine all these people that say they love Lin Wood because he represented Nick Sandmann, then attack Nick Sandmann in the name of Lin Wood? You need to start checking yourself if you're to that point.
Yeah, it's an amazing clarification on the real threat or the true threat, because you talk about that, and we live in Canada where you literally get ordered to pay a fine by the Human Rights Tribunal for making fun of somebody as a stand-up comedian.
Might be a good bridge to the COVID breakdowns, or if you get too many people in your home on the holidays, the cops will come barging into your door and drag you out.